Elvis Presley killed my dancing career. I'll take you back. 1974, we opened at the International Hilton with Dick Clark's good old rock and roll. And it was opening night, and I was known as Jeff Kutash and the Greasy Kids. And there I was in the wing, looking at the audience, wondering who showed up tonight, like I'm doing right now. Robin Leach is there, Norm is there. And I see a guy with sunglasses on and a large collar and 2 bodyguards, and I said, holy mackerel, it's Elvis Presley, my idol. My goodness, I'm gonna dance like I never danced before. So my opening routine is to slide out, do a knee slide, hit my feet, do a double turn, run a comb through my hair as Teen Angel, and Elvis will love me. So I do the slide, but the adrenaline's pumping, you know how that goes. And I vault off the stage, wipe out a table of customers, drinks are flying, chairs are tipping over, and I wind up about 5 feet from Elvis, and he looks at me, takes off his glasses like, this can't be the real show. And it wasn't, because I felt a fire in my groin. I knew something was wrong. I had a pain like I couldn't believe. So we finished the show, got Elvis's autograph, and wound up at 2 o'clock in the morning at Sunrise Hospital. And doctor comes out and says, here, sign this. If you die on the operating table, you gave your consent. I said, what the heck are you talking about? I have 30 days to perform in a show. Dance. He said, no, you're not going to be dancing. I pulled my pants back on, and I walked out, went home, back to the hotel, cried myself to sleep, got up the next morning and called Dr. Fink. In those days, the hotels actually had doctors, in-house doctors. Wouldn't that be nice? Especially if there's an Ebola patient in the wings. So he says, listen, you can go for 20 years or you can get it operated on tomorrow. It depends on your threshold for pain. I said, I don't have that. So he said, then I'm going to write you a prescription, go to the medical supply house, and I wore a truss for 30 days. It pulls everything up and raises your voice a couple octaves. And I finished the show, and I said to myself, I'm not going to dance anymore, so Elvis actually did me a favor. He made me a choreographer and a producer and a director. But let me take you back to the beginning. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. And I started out after high school. I was a Golden Gloves kind of guy, gangbanger. It was the streets of the 60s. And working to go to college, wanted to go to school. So I worked cleaning toilets at a truck factory and by day, and by night I entered dance contests and usually won, and put myself through college and went to Ohio State University. While at Ohio State University, I see this guy in a concert named James Brown. And I said, I don't want to be a dentist, I want to do that. And I went back to Cleveland for summer vacation, and I turn on the TV, and there's a show called The Upbeat Show, street dancing and contemporary music entertainers, the MTV before there was MTV. And I said, I'm going to call this guy up, the producer, and tell him that their dancers are not doing what they should be doing. And I did. I called him. He said, why don't you come down here and show me what you're talking about? Drive downtown, jump on the guy's desk, doing the mashed potatoes, doing my impersonation of James Brown. And he says, you're just what I've been looking for. Do you want to be my choreographer? And I said, yes. I didn't even know what the word choreographer meant. I had never taken a dance lesson. And he said, you just have to show me, get your dance troupe together. I said, dance troupe, okay. So I called my 3 girlfriends and said, well, meet me down at the studio, and taught him a routine in about a half hour, the stuff I was doing. And he says, you got the job. So I got the gig, and I lost the girlfriends. So we played everybody from the Beatles to the Stones to the Motown acts. Was syndicated in about 110 markets, but eventually it had played itself out for me. So I got in my car with $170 in my pocket and drove to Los Angeles. And I'm at a party, and I run into Dick Clark. And I walk up to him, and I grab him by the ear, and I said, Dick, you got to have me working for you. And he said, yeah, you're right. And he hired me to do 4 specials for ABC called the Rock and Roll Years. And I guess he knew the upbeat show, so he had seen me. And I'm in business, and I find a bunch of dancers in the streets, and I call them the dancing machine. And the dancing machine winds up, after that, doing a world tour. We go to 12 countries. We're the only street dance group in the days when nobody was doing it. And we're playing South Africa and Spain and Israel and Japan and my favorite city, London. And we get to London, and we play the Royal Albert Hall, but then they put us in a tent show touring Birmingham and Sheffield and all these outskirts. And people would show up in the afternoon to the tent, and they would buy their tickets, and we'd sell out. And then at night, we'd come on stage, and one by one, they'd leave the theater, asking for their money back. They thought they were going to see lions and tigers and a frickin' circus, and we're an American dance troupe. It just died. So the promoter ditched us, left us with our bags on the curb, and we had a hitchhike to the airport at Heathrow and wound up back in the States. Glad to be back home. You know what that's like. I pick up Variety newspaper and I read about this guy named Steve Wynn. You're not here tonight, are you, Steve? I didn't think so. So Steve, I call him on the phone, and I said, I want to work for you. He said, well, come up here and show me what you're talking about. So I fly to Vegas with my Super 8 projector, because in those days we didn't have videotape, and I show him the dancing machine. He said, you could open for Kenny Rogers. And it started a 1-year relationship at the Golden Nugget. We became the Lounge Act of the Year, the dancing machine. And he gave me my first $1 million to open his Golden Nugget in Atlantic City with a show called Brand New Day. So Steve Wynn basically was responsible for kickstarting my career. Now, there was a little glitch because somebody else wanted us to perform. And I get a call from a guy named Lefty Rosenthal, who worked at the, you know him as Robert De Niro, and his partner, Tony the Ant, who you know is Joe Pesci. And he wants to meet with me, and 2 meetings it takes to set up, and I meet him in the boiler room in the basement of the Stardust Hotel. And I'm telling you, I swear to you, the pipes are dripping, the light, the single light is swinging, they're wearing sunglasses, and they make me an offer I can't refuse. So I call Steve and say, Steve, I got this offer, what should I do? He said, take it. So we open at the Stardust, and Dance Machine becomes now a strip attraction. And from there, it was Frank Sinatra. We opened for Frank, we opened for Dean, we opened for Sammy, for Tom Jones, for Bette Midler. It was fabulous. And at that point, I just said, okay, it's time to go back to television. So I went back to LA, and I had a contact with Merv Griffin, and Merv Griffin came to see us at the Roxy Theater, and I said, oh man, we're going to get on TV. And we do the show, Merv books us, and as I'm walking up the dressing room, to the dressing room, a guy taps me on the shoulder. He said, excuse me, I want to learn what you're doing. You got to teach me what you're doing. I was still dancing in those days. I said, who are you? He said, my name is John Travolta. I said, okay. He said, I do a show called Welcome Back, Kotter. I said, okay, what do you want to do? You want private lessons? He said, yeah. I said, okay, $25 an hour. I've got a little studio over at the Beverly Hills Dance Academy. You know, we can start right away. So for 3 months, the dancing machine and I are teaching him the spin splits and the knee drops and all the stuff from Saturday Night Fever. Who knew a year later that he was going to do what he did? So when the movie opened, my mouth dropped. I said, 25 an hour I did for this? I better learn something from this lesson. And, but he was kind enough to list in, he did an article for Rolling Stone magazine, and he said, the dancing machine taught me all my moves. Boom, my career went through the roof. Through the roof. I became the frickin' king of disco. TV shows, magazine, record album with Casablanca, did the Grammy Awards as a choreographer, wound up getting a call from Taxi, you know, the show Taxi, and the producer said, I want you to reprise the material you did for Travolta. I said, I don't want to dance on TV now. I'm a director. He said, no, do it. I'll get you your SAG card. I said, okay. So that show, that episode won the Golden Globe and the Emmy that year. So we were on top of the game. And then came a call from NBC to do the midnight special, 12 o'clock on Friday nights, before there was MTV. And I said, well, I want to co-produce it. And I want to do this and that. Okay. They just love the dance thing. So now I'm a co-producer and co-host with Wolfman Jack. And the Jacksons are booked on the show. I said, oh, wow. The guy who inspired me for the name of my group, The Dancing Machine, is coming on the show. So I'm in the corner rehearsing with the electric boogaloo, the kids I found on the corner, all the poppers and the lockers and all that fabulous stuff. And Michael comes over to me and says, Jeff, I don't want to do this thing I'm doing with my brothers anymore. I want to do what you guys are doing, all this. I said, well, we're rehearsing every day at the Masonic Church up on Highland. Come on by. So he comes by. Next morning he comes by with a limo, drops him off, and he comes upstairs and he sits in a corner and he's watching. And a couple hours go by. I said, Michael, what are you doing? Come on here. You might as well learn it. Pop and Pete, teach him how to do the backslide. Scally, teach him how to do the old man. And he learns all the moves. Don't hear from him. He thanks me very much. Year and a half later, Motown 25. The new hair, the new face color, the new nose, the new wardrobe, and a dance called Moonwalk. And the rest is history, you know. So that was about the end of the disco era. 1980, breakdancing came in. I had a couple of the flash dancers, Mr. Freeze, the New York B-Boys, but we couldn't get arrested. Nobody wanted a dance show in those days. It was over with. So I looked to other avenues. I said, well, I need to go back to Vegas. So I heard that the Riviera was looking for something. So I throw my hat in the ring and I wind up pitching, take all my savings, because I depleted a lot of money in that 5 years, take my savings, I put together this model and renderings and costume drawings, and I'm pitching to the Riviera a show called Splash. And it's, thank you. I'm going to give you mermaids and motorcycles and pyrotechnics and moving lights and water in the desert. And they booked me. He said, okay, 4 weeks. And 21 years later, we did Splash. My time's almost up. I'll give you one Splash story. The opening night, everybody's invited, 1,000 people. They're having a big dinner. You know, the drill, ice sculptures, the whole thing. And they're banking on this show now. And I'm in my tuxedo, and I can't wait to come and see Elizabeth Taylor's there, and Linda Blair, and Esther Williams. And I get a phone call, Jeff, the water is not working. From the stage manager. I said, yeah, that's a cute joke. No, the water's not working. I don't even get a chance to have a drink. I run downstairs to the theater. It's 7:30, show's going on at 8 o'clock. I roll up my pants, my tuxedo pants, and I'm walking around, take the gratings off, and I'm in the water looking, where the heck is this? What's wrong here? And I call Mark Fuller, who was the water designer, who also wound up doing the Bellagio fountains, by the way. And he's walking around with his pants rolled up. And we're looking for it, and it's now 7:45, it's 7:50, it's 7:55. I can hear behind the curtain, I can hear the glasses clinking and people, I can feel the swell. And I know that the orchestra's going to start and the curtain's going to go up. And I'm freaking out. And Mark says, I think I found it. And he pulls out a rag out of a pipe. And I said, the union. We didn't hire enough guys. And as I'm walking off the stage, the curtain's going up, and Splash was born. Before I leave you, I want to acknowledge my partner, my friend for 40 years, who, if it wasn't for his involvement, I probably wouldn't be where I am. Marty Romley. Marty, stand up and take a bow. There's no spotlight. And I'll leave you with this. With all the accolades and the money and the girls and whatever went with it all, my greatest joy, sincerely, was that I got a chance to put hundreds of street dancers to work. You know, the stuff that I did. And it kept them out of jail and off of drugs, and they had families, and they bought homes, and hopefully their dreams came true, because I certainly got to live the dream. Thank you.